Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Merry Christmas to you, and welcome into another edition of Infection Podcast. My name is Nick Craig. You can follow me on X at Nicholas M. Craig, or check out our website, infectionpodcast.com. Merry Christmas to you, Mr. Brian with an I Aldridge. What's going on?
Yeah, not too much. Merry Christmas to you as well. And it's my wife and I's anniversary today. It shows you my dedication.
Oh, what an idiot.
Hey, she told me to. I was like, hey, I can take it off or do some other time, whatever.
You got a good one.
But, we're going to do something tonight, so we'll be good. If you want to find me, get me at Brian Aldridge on GabGetter, Truth Social, all the other ones, or at Boise Computer on X, which is seems to be the hot new thing. I heard that they have 23%, I think, more traffic year over year from last year this time. When everybody was saying that they were going to be dead and done, Elon Musk was driving it into the ground.
Of course.
Ruining it.
I'm looking at this. I'm not going to do it because I'm cheap, but this Grok, G-R-O-K, their AI assistant,
their AI.
It's too damn expensive. It's $16 a month or $11 a month if you do the yearly subscription, but it's $200 a year. It's a lot.
Do you get anything? Don't you get something if you're a subscriber, though? Like it'll analyze posts or something like that? I thought for people that were...
I've got the original premium one, the verified one that you paid like $100 for, and that was fine. But I don't know. Some of this other stuff is just too much. So that's
I heard that there's some ways, like maybe they don't give you access to do your own prompts or whatever, but I thought that they said that there's a little button next to people with premium to where it'll analyze the post and give more information about.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
The threat. Yeah. So that's kind of the use I see for it, is kind of because right now AI in every other space is very biased, and I'm sure this will have some sort of bias. It seems like Musk's real intention is to try to not make things as unbiased as possible through community notes. I mean, a lot of people can say, oh, I don't like community notes. Well, you just don't like that they're going to give you a very blunt answer to something without your personal feelings, because people will say something and then community notes have to be approved by people, a whole bunch of people of different opinions, let's say political opinions, whatever else, before it gets put on the system. So we'll see if he does the same thing with Grok. It seems like it does pretty well from the samples I've seen.
Yeah, so we'll see on that. All right, some pretty big news. Google, a.k.a. Alphabet, lost a massive lawsuit, and this is in regards to antitrust and the Google Play Store, which pretty remarkable as, you look at the Google ecosystem. Now, again, this is just the App Store, but you look at the ecosystem, you can sideload apps, you can customize your device way more and do way more things than you can on an Apple product, yet Alphabet loses its antitrust suit here with Epic Games over Google Play. What are we learning from this?
Well, there's going to be a settlement here, which is supposedly $700 million, that some of it will go. There's actually different stages to the settlement. But what it's going to do, first of all, is it's going to allow people to, or people creating apps, to offer other options for paying for products, whether it's things in game, things like that. That's been something that's kind of been a no-no across all these different app stores up to this point. And so that, I think right away, you'll notice them offering other billing options, maybe that don't have as high of fees, because that's one thing that Android has had in the past is for certain countries, there's really high exchange rates. And sometimes places will either be paying a lot more or a lot less for things based on those exchange rates. And so if you're at a place with a really high exchange rate, you could say, well, let's offer our own payment system that doesn't have the 30% tax and has something that doesn't lose so much money. Because if you have a really bad exchange rate, where's that money go? It doesn't go to Google. I assume they're not pocketing it and coming up with a more efficient way. But, it's kind of just money thrown in the air and lost. So I think that's going to be one of the big things. for this. Also, let me find
but before
there's different time periods, 7 years. There's things that are 7 years. There's things that are 5 years that they have to do. They kind of broke it up.
Before you go, excuse me, before you, geez Louise, before you go any further with that, the whole App Store thing is interesting. Now, obviously, charging 30% and some of the practices, I guess we'll call them, and policies that these various companies take are not great. However, they are providing a service for free, right?
Yeah.
You're not paying for the App Store. They're paying for the hosting. They're paying for the downloads. Very similar to Steam. Now, I'm not saying that gives them the right to, gorge these companies, but I mean, there is something to that. And I don't know where that factors into it. And the thing that's so odd about Google is Fortnite has been on Google this entire time because the fact that you can download the APK and sideload it. And that hasn't been an issue. And there's many apps. There's whole Amazon Amazon offers the Amazon App Store that comes on their Fire devices that you can install, at least used to be able to, on any Google phone. It's a completely separate app marketplace, and there's dozens of separate app marketplaces that exist on the Google ecosystem. So the whole thing to me is just a little weird. Again, they lost this battle against Apple, but won it against Google. Isn't that weird?
Well, and hopefully this kind of sets precedents to where maybe they'll be able to go back and argue a little bit differently or show... I don't know what they did. Did Google just not defend as well, not throw as much money into the fight? It's kind of hard to say. I'd have to really compare the two to see why one lost and the other won. But here, first of all, one thing they're doing is it's going to be about $700 million is going to be coming from Google. 629 million of that is going to go to consumers who they say have overpaid for apps or in-app purchases via Google Play after taxes, lawyer fees, and so on. 70 million of that will go to states to be used as the state AGs see fit. That'll be interesting. And then 1 million of that is going to be for settlement administration. So, that's that. All those three last ones add up to that 700 million. For 7 years, Google, they're going to have to enable Android to allow the installation of third-party apps on mobile devices through means other than Google Play. So they're going to have to continue doing that, right? They can't all of a sudden, now that this happens, say we're disabling sideloading. So they're required to keep that open for 7 years. For 5 years, they're required to let developers offer an alternate in-app billing system next to Google Play. And they're calling it user choice billing. So this is going to be them allowing them to use their own payment systems, which will get rid of that 30% tax. Because they're not doing a tax on. They're allowing you to go somewhere else, do a payment, and have the funds go directly to the creator. For 5 years, Google won't make developers offer their best prices to customers who pick Google Play and Google Play billing. I don't know. I don't remember that being something that they've said, but I guess maybe they required people to give their best prices through the Google Play Store. I don't know, or if that's something they're worried about them changing that. I don't remember that being a rule. For 4 years, Google won't make developers ship titles on Google Play at the same time as other stores, and with feature parity. So pretty much just saying Google can't require things. For 5 years, Google won't make companies exclusively put Google Play on a phone or its home screen. It's like, this kind of reminds me of the old browser wars.
Oh, yes.
What they ended up doing with Microsoft.
Antitrust, for 4 years, it was the same thing. Sued Microsoft for antitrust over IE.
Yep. For 4 years, Google won't stop OEMs from granting installer rights to preload apps. And then for 5 years, Google won't require its consent from an OEM preloads before an OEM preloads a third-party app store. So, for instance, I use OnePlus, which is a very independent type of a phone. They could put on their own app store if they wanted to on every OnePlus device and allow people to get apps directly through them. So here's good. I mean, one thing with that's definitely a downside is, what about the the long term. When I buy an app, I want to have future versions. I want it to be there in 5 years when I have, one or two phones down the road. And it seems like all these other stores kind of go by the wayside. So I think someone's going to have to either be a really big organization that's going to be guaranteed to be there in the long term, because most of these have been ones that just haven't stuck around. Maybe we'll see Amazon kind of come back with their app store at this point. For 4 years, Google will let third-party app stores update apps without requiring user approval.
That's big.
Yeah, because that's something, a third-party app, there are limitations to what an app can do for security. They don't want an app kind of taking over your phone and doing all these different things, so they lock it down. But if it's a third-party app store, you do want it to, in the background randomly or on a schedule, be updating your apps. So you don't have to, every time you go run things, to go check, goes there an update to this app. So that they're going to be unlocking, I assume, features to allow those specific types of apps to do more. For 4 years, Google will let side-loaded apps stores use its APIs and feature splits to help install apps. So using the same type of technology in the background that the Play Store uses to do these things. That's, okay. I mean, that to me kind of seems, if you're going to require them to do things, like, why? I don't know if I agree with saying, well, and you have to let them use your stuff to do it. Like, if you want to create your whole thing on the side, you support that 100%.
That's what I'm
right?
saying. Like, so now Google's on the hook for this?
Now Google has to supply them an API and features to be able to do the work that this is allowing them to do with their own apps.
That would be like
that I'm not as big fan of.
That would be like the Epic Market, the Epic Store. There being something requiring Steam to do the download, host the CDN functionality for the Epic Games Store, right? Why would they want? Why would Google?
Why would that be a requirement? Yeah, that's kind of odd. So for 5 years, Google will turn its two side-loading scare screens, as they call them in this, into a single user prompt, which will read the equivalent of this agreed upon language. Your phone currently isn't configured to install apps from this source. Granting this source permission to install apps could place your phone and data at risk. That's what it'll say, rather than having, two different screens that pop up trying to prevent you from side-loading something. For 5 years, Google will let user choice billing participating developers let their users know about better pricing elsewhere and complete transactions using the developer's existing web-based billing solution in an embedded web view within its app. So if they can offer you a better price, one game that I play is Raid Shadow Legends.
Not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor. I mean, if they want to kick us some money, we could throw a little teaser up here in the corner if you want. But if you with that one, if you use the PC version, so they encourage you to go and use the PC client to run the game, because then they can offer you these different deals for, because it's definitely kind of a pay to win game. You can toss a lot of money at that game.
Sure.
But they'll say, hey, we'll give you a special deal if you go through the PC client, and go through our store rather than using your phone store. This will allow them to not, they can offer the same deal inside of the app now and not try to encourage you to go to some other application. And then for 6 years, Google will continue to allow developers to use contact information obtained outside the app or in-app with user consent to communicate with users out of app. So no restrictions on that. For 6 years, Google will let consumption-only apps like Netflix, which doesn't let you pay on device, tell users about better prices elsewhere without linking to an outside website. Example, available on our website for $9.99. And then here's the last one. For 6 years, Google shall not prohibit developers from disclosing to users any service or other fees associated with the Google Play or Google Play's billing system. So if they want to say, here's how much it costs you on Google Play, or here's how much it costs us on Google Play versus using our own billing system, just so you know why we're either charging more on Google Play's version or less on our other system. So,
sure.
Kind of interesting how they've done that. But that's pretty much the. Oh, well, it's a long judgment, but those are the bullet points for this. Yeah, Raid Shadow Legends. So we got hope maybe a sponsor. We'll see you next week. I doubt it. I don't think we'll be doing Raid Shadow Legends infomercials here.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can do an endorsement. I mean, you use the app, so there you go.
I did tell them, hey, I did say that if I don't get a certain character by the end of the year, which is coming up here really quick, I'm done playing. So
I feel like you told me that maybe like 4 years ago.
Yeah, there was, yes, and I got that character before the end, so I continued playing. And now it's like I said, if I'm not getting this character, it's the basic character. I'm tired of the RNG.
Well, hopefully your anniversary goes well tonight. You don't spend it all sitting in your bed playing Raid Shadow Legends with Cheetos.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this though, and this is our final show of the year. Just kind of chilling and hanging out tonight. Not all that serious. Not that the show's ever overly serious, but so Brian, I'm coming to this as trying to make myself the general consumer here, right? Not the audience of this show, not the techies, not the gamers, not the people doing things in the Senate, but the people that are just regular. I'm thinking of my grandparents, people like that. I don't know that I want fragmentation of an app marketplace like what I think is possible. I don't know that it will happen. I don't even think it will happen. Yeah. But I don't know that I want there to. Obviously, yes, I'm always for consumer choice. I'm always for freedom. I'm not talking about freedom in terms of rights, but for people to be able to use and do what they want on something that they purchase. But I don't know that extremely fragmenting the Android ecosystem with all of these app stores is necessarily a good thing. And let me tell you why. Yeah. Well, there's a couple of reasons. I do think if you get major apps that start pulling out of the store, that will hurt Android, which I don't think is good. I think you want to, as an iOS user, I want Android to be as strong as can be. It pushes innovation and forces Apple's hand to not sit on their ass and take 15 years to put something in place. So I like the strong competition. I benefit from that. But I think you do open the door even more now to fraud on Android, which we already know is an issue. So now you're going to have these mobile pop-up ads, and they already exist, the ones that, your phone is infected with a virus, tap here and install some sketchy app. You now start adding all of these third-party marketplaces. God knows what their screening mechanisms are, if there are any, for the apps on their marketplace. And I think it could be a serious detriment to Android, because if there's a very popular app that isn't on the Google Play Store and you have to download some third-party app store to install that app, who knows what else is on that store? I don't know. Maybe I'm being too cynical about it, but I don't know that that's, if you're a techie person, you're sideloading APKs. You can get app stores. That's not an issue. The general public is not doing that, and it's probably a good thing. Like for example, you look at Windows 11S, the version that comes on most computers now, where by default, EXEs will not run. Now, it's a very easy setting to turn off, but I'll tell you what, Brian, as somebody that provides tech support to my family, I think it's freaking phenomenal that they can't just randomly get brought to some website and install, trying to download some, my grandfather does newsletters, download some clipart.exe and infect their computer. It's not going to allow them to do it. So there is something for the general consumer there that's protection, and I think that's good, and I don't know what impact this will have on it, if any. Maybe it's not a big deal.
And looking at this, the thing that I think they really should have done, I mean, this is something, and as you said, it kind of opens up the door to possible negatives that can happen depending on how people play the system.
Sure.
But I think if they would have turned around and just said, if we offer you a version of your Play account, this is for developers that are offering, let's say, Epic, when they're trying to allow people to play Fortnite on their mobile device. If they have a version where they say, hey, we are not going to require the Google Play Store to host the gigabyte or whatever of the app, that will have a lightweight front end app that won't require a huge amount of bandwidth and things like that for them to turn around and offer it. And then once you load into the app, we'll be doing most of our updating on our infrastructure and our hardware. And it's just offer a version where there's caps on either, the amount of bandwidth you can use, the amount of storage that is required for all of the files and the historical versions. I think if they would have turned around and just said, let's make it to where there is a way to get a less than 30% fee, and it's by limiting your consumption, kind of like what they do with, for a lot of places, even still with your ISP and your internet.
Exactly. Throttle.
Cell phones. Yeah. Some people just want 100 megabits. There's some people like us that want a gigabit or, 500
I'm saying
megabits.
Bandwidth limits. Look at your cell phone. If you don't have, a lot of people still have 5 gigabyte cell phone plans, and you use your 5 gigs, and what do you get throttled back to? 3G speeds.
Yeah.
And that's a very
that would have been a better
practice.
way. I think that would have been a better way to handle this. And just if Epic wants to keep their fees low, then they'll build their client to where it's using the least amount of Google's infrastructure to keep the cost on Google down, to be able to host this big store with a lot of users. Because those are the type of accounts where the 30% makes more sense, when you've got it to where every user is going to be downloading multiple gigs over a certain time span. It has a ton of users, and it costs Google money to just host it. But there's other games where they're offline games, they're not very big, and they're getting charged the same amount as a game that has an update almost every day or two.
Sure.
And they're doing huge amounts of bandwidth. Just create a separation and let a company, if they want to, tailor their application to fit into that service. And then I don't think they would have had an issue. I think they would say, hey, look, we are offering a different choice, but when people use a lot of our services and cost us a lot of money, we have to make sure that we get reimbursed for that. And I think they would have had an argument in court. But I think Google thought they were going to win. So I don't think Google tried to give at all in this. And I think that's what ended up hurting them in the end. I think if someone would have said, hey, we're not thinking we're going to guarantee win this case, so let's come at them with something that seems very reasonable. And we lose a little, they gain a little. And maybe this wouldn't have gone this far, but now they're out $700 million instead.
Yeah. I wonder what the appeal process will look like for this if Google tries to appeal this or do something else. There's no doubt in my mind there will be something else that happens in this case between now and whenever some of this stuff goes into effect. There's no doubt in my mind.
And how are they going to decide who? I mean, is it everybody who's purchased or done in-app payments? Like, all these things for Raid Shadow Legends I did. Like, how do I get a percentage back from those? Because those are big. Those are thousands of dollars worth of payments that I've made through various applications over the years.
102 million people. I mean, that seems like that's a lot of people. Just like any other antitrust lawsuit, the court will set parameters for who is eligible based on dates and things. Like, Brian, you and I were part of that AMD lawsuit back probably a decade ago at this point.
Yeah, I got $70-something check or something like that.
Yeah, which was cool. Yeah, it was nice. I still have it. I still have my AMD check. It's in a box somewhere from
I'm in that Steam one. I'm in the Steam class action, and they said
games.
Yeah, they said, do you want to accept like a minimum of $1,000 and something as your settlement, or do you want us to try to argue you more? I was like, well, see what you can do. Get whatever you can get out of it, and we'll see it. It's still not settled, but it'd be interesting to see if I get $1,000 back from my past Steam purchases.
Well, hopefully you'll spread the wealth around to some of your co-hosts and other good people in your life. So I'm sure we'll hear more on this in the coming months. But pretty big news, not only just in our circles. I saw it on Fox today. I heard it on the radio this morning a couple of times during some of the newscasts. So pretty big stuff, again, here surrounding Google. And now I guess Google can notch their belt and say, hey, just like Microsoft, look at this, antitrust. So that's what's going on over there. Brian, 'tis the most wonderful time of the year. Let's talk about nudity.
Yeah.
Twitch, which is okay. Maybe I'm not in a good position to say this. I have not been an active now. Yes, this show streams on Twitch every Tuesday. That is the only time I interact with Twitch. I couldn't tell you the last time I watched a live stream on Twitch. It has been years since I have actively watched something on Twitch. Maybe 5 years since I've actively watched a live streamer on even a semi-regular basis. But Twitch is kind of an interesting platform. Obviously, their YouTube gaming is popular, has brought a bunch of people over. This website Kick, I think it's called, is bringing some streamers over as well. So and they've had a very interesting problem in recent years as internet entertainers. How about that for a phrase, Brian?
Yeah.
We're using Twitch. And, you had girls streaming in bikinis, sitting in bathtubs with spin wheels and walking to the back of their shot, bending over and writing on a whiteboard. It was, for all intents and purposes, softcore pornography on the platform. Individuals where people were streaming video games, their camera was 90% of the frame, face down on a low-cut V-neck shirt, and the video game a tiny little box in the corner. And Twitch has had to deal with this because you look at websites like OnlyFans and all of these other websites, these people are making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month selling this kind of content, which I'm all for. I'm a true free market capitalist, Brian. If you can sell your goods for the tune of $250,000 a month, have at it. I'm not going to pay for it, but if other people want to, I'm all in. I mean, that's what makes this so great. So Twitch, didn't really have a policy on this because when they started when they broke off from Justin TV back in 2011 or 2012, wasn't really a popular thing. And in recent years, more of this adult content, sexual or sexualized content, has become an issue for them. They, for all intents and purposes, pretty much outright banned it. Then something happened in the last week or two where they allowed it again and then banned it again. What's going on here? What's the deal?
Let's cover what they allowing it. Here's what they said when they allowed it, and this was on the 13th. So this was Wednesday. So what they said is they will allow things that were previously banned, and we'll go over what those are here in a minute, as long as it has a label to warn viewers. So they're calling that label a content classification label, CCL.
An NSFW tag, essentially.
Pretty much.
Okay.
And so they had some issues in the past. They talked about here, one streamer had a wardrobe malfunction, and they warned that one. So that one got banned. They had Pokimane, who showed a Pornhub page, and so they warned her and didn't ban her.
Of course.
And then they recently banned a female creator who appeared to be streaming topless. I don't know what that means. So the platform will now, as of that day, allow deliberately highlighted breasts, buttocks, or pelvic region if the stream has the label, while Twitch launched in June as a way for creators to warn users if their stream contains sexual themes, gambling, vulgarity, and other mature content. The same goes for drawn, animated, or sculpted, fully exposed female-presenting breasts. Well, you like how they call it female presenting? They can't say women's breasts. They're presenting as females' breasts,
Jesus.
Regardless of whether I'm female or not, and or genitals or buttocks, regardless of gender.
Term. Buttocks. Has anybody ever referred to buttocks?
Move your buttocks.
Exactly.
Along with body writing on female presenting, they yell how Verge has to use female presenting because it can't use female or male. Female presenting breasts and or buttocks. So you can write on boobs and butts, but as long as they're female, right? Body. Why can't you write on a guy's butt? I mean, does that make sense to you? If you're a male presenting butt, why can't you do that? I mean, not
Brian,
that I'm asking for it.
gender is a social construct. I don't really know what it all means anymore. But yeah, that's pretty interesting.
So here's one other thing. Twitch also won't take action against streams featuring erotic dances like strip teases if they have this label. And no longer, Twitch will no longer require a label for streams involving twerking, grinding, and pole dancing. So
all valid forms of exercise. All valid forms of exercise.
Oh yeah, and so so this is what they said. I mean, there's some more to it, but that's generally what they said.
Before we get into anything else, let's talk about why this is relevant. This is a massive money-making marketplace for Twitch.
Yes.
They with their changes that they made, they lost that entire market to other services, I guess you'll call them. I don't know that there was a website dedicated to females not really video game streaming, but streaming. But they lost that marketplace, and it's a very lucrative marketplace. Again, you can look at some of what these girls are making on various paywalled websites, whether it's Patreon or services like OnlyFans, and it is absurd amounts of money, Brian. And Twitch is sitting back here. This is a platform that is not as popular as it was 5 years ago. It is a platform that I don't know that on decline is the right phrase to use for it, but it's a platform that is not at its peak. And there's no...
so they had... Here's a quick note on that.
Sure.
Twitch saw a 3% decrease in viewership just in November. When people are generally going to be home more, usually it's this time of year that people are doing more Twitch, which probably gives you a little hint of why they made this policy change in the first place. They're starting to lose money. The viewership is down. I bet you subs are down if we went and dug those stats up. And so this is where they're making their money at the moment. These hot tub streams and some of these females that are doing this particular thing have replaced the Dr. Disrespects and their other ones that were their top earners of the day.
Yeah, there's no question about it. And they're trying, as every other company is right now, trying to figure out what they need to do revenue-wise to keep their company afloat. We saw that they laid off a whole bunch of people, just like the rest of the video game or video game surrounding industries earlier this year because of the economy and the pressures that are being felt there. And they're trying to figure out how to capitalize on this market and bring some of this money back to their platform. Because turns out, Brian, just like Google, Twitch takes its fair share of Twitch bits and subscriptions and donations, as they should, for providing a platform for free. So this is a very lucrative, I don't have evidence to back this up, but I'll say a growing marketplace, a popular marketplace where they can generate potentially millions of dollars a year, tens of millions of dollars a year, depending on how big some of these streamers are on the platform. So this is why this continues to come back and is a constant conversation. If this was a little group of individuals that wasn't making Twitch any money, this would have been said and done years ago. But it's such a moneymaker that they, no pun intended, that they have to figure out how to do a balancing act with this without turning into a cam girl site, which already exists on the internet. That's the rock and the hard place that they're between. How do we not become as just a straight up cam girl site?
Yeah. And this is what they're trying to figure out. How do we allow this area that makes money without it going too far? And what they found is, and what we would, if you asked us, it's going to go too far. When you open up the floodgates this much, it's going to go too far. Now, do you want to hear what their response was 2 days later when people started taking advantage of the new rules?
48 hours later, Brian, we spent last week's show talking about how 96 hours is enough for a video game to launch and then go away completely. Yeah. What did Twitch do in the matter of 48 hours?
So by Friday, they announced what they called a U-turn. And this is great. Where here's something that the CEO, Dan Clancy, said in a statement. Upon reflection, we have decided that we went too far with this change.
Damn.
he said that some of the imagery that had been allowed under the new guidelines was met with community concern. That's a nice way to say it. Moving forward, depictions of real or fictional nudity won't be allowed on Twitch, regardless of the medium. So they did a full stop on that.
So we're back to square one.
Back to square one. So last week, they had allowed all those things that we were talking about. The drawings, erotic dances, body riding. What's deliberately highlighted breasts? Like, that would be probably those cameras up top that are just.
That's exactly the case. Where you essentially have just a camera shot of a girl's low V-neck. Yeah, that's exactly the case.
And here's what he says, kind of talking about it. Digital depictions of nudity presents a unique challenge. Artificial intelligence can be used to create realistic images, and it can be hard to distinguish between digital art and photography. So there was just an outpouring of concern online from Twitch's art community about the volume of AI-generated nudes, which began to bombard Twitch's art category since the policy change. Because people could create an AI-generated person who, to the naked eye, no pun intended, is as realistic as you can get, but it's not a real person. Well, how do you know it's not a real person? How do you prove it's not a real person? How do you just prove that you're not doing straight up porn or porn in some form on the platform? So the only exception remains incidental nudity that appears in mature rated games. So that's the exception they're leaving.
Which is good.
So if there's
for like games like GTA.
Because you may run across something to where, whoops, ran into the wrong place. You never know what's going to happen.
Or the right place. I mean, who knows? Depends on what you're looking for.
Well, here's the interesting thing that he wrote. While I wish we had predicted this outcome, part of our job is to make adjustments that serve the community. I apologize for the confusion that this update has caused. How could you have not predicted this? That's what I don't understand. I mean, I can only imagine that this would happen. Allow people to focus on your boobs, pelvis, whatever, or to have artistic. I mean, that's totally up to the eye of the beholder. Artistic pornography, pretty much what they're offering.
Yeah, I don't know what that means either.
So that's
again. This is, I feel bad for Twitch. Again, they are in such a rough position with this. I mean, how do you're losing your market share on this? And obviously Twitch is a video game streaming website. I mean, that's what they are. And that's what they've been. It's kind of funny we talked about this a couple of years ago. Justin TV was a live streaming website. It was a full on just people live streaming anything and everything. Video games turned out were pretty popular to live stream. So that's when a bunch of people started streaming that. They broke Justin TV off into Twitch. Twitch was exploded. They shut Justin TV down. Then for a period of time, it seemed like Justin TV. Okay, hold on a second. Hold on. I need to get I don't even know if I could. I don't even know if I can show this on Twitch, even though it's on their website. I just pulled up viewer discretion on this, Brian. I'm not going to get us banned on Twitch. I just opened up
tell
Twitch.
My wife who's streaming this on our TV, turn Jonathan's eyes.
Yeah, so yes. So I just went on Twitch. I'm logged into our account. I went to browse, and I went to just chatting. And look at these thumbnails.
Wow.
I mean,
that's what it's...
This is what's going on Twitch right now.
Yeah.
So did they change the policy or not?
Well,
this girl is laying in a chair with ties around her ass.
Yeah, there we go.
And the video game's not even on the screen.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought that, who knows? Maybe they're seeing what they can get away with. You can still do body painting. You can still twerk. So those are allowed, but none of those look like That's not what they look like. So
I'm very curious. So what is this? Okay, so this girl is streaming. She's playing Rust, maybe? But the only way you can see of the video game is because the camera angle shows her monitor. And the camera is fixated on her buttocks, Brian, to use the proper term. It is a very interesting angle, and that is the view of the gameplay. And that is what she is. That is what she's apparently Russian by looking at the description of her channel. So that's what she's streaming.
I mean, this is the new Twitch. This is one reason I don't go and browse Twitch. I mean, it's kind of turned into mostly this, right?
This lady
is kind of what it's become.
This lady is streaming completely nude with 2 black lines on her body. She's completely naked.
Yeah, that's the new Twitch. Now, did she censored herself, right? But how do you do that on the fly without having a malfunction?
Well, if she moved up half an inch, you'd see it all.
There's a problem, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
This is pretty crazy.
My wife sends me a text. She says, like, don't be getting too excited in there during this conversation.
Cry face. I wish I could show this. This stuff is on the Twitch platform, Brian. I don't want to show like vulgar content on the show, but I'm going to show it real quick because this is what's going on Twitch right now. These 2 girls are completely naked streaming on Twitch. Completely naked.
Yeah. That's the new Twitch. Welcome to where Twitch is not about games anymore.
I assume this has been on for quite some time. It shows how little I use Twitch. But good God. They have 12,000 people watching right now. That's not a small channel.
Yep. Well, they're finding what sells.
Well, and okay. And I'm looking at this channel. They are streaming also on some other website uncensored, but you have to pay for it. So that's actually a smart.
So
that's a smart idea. That's a really, really good idea.
So they're directing them to a fully nude site.
But they still have 13,000 people watching this.
That's kind of what a lot of the hot tub streamers and all the, whatever else streamers were doing is they were streaming whatever and talking, but then they were encouraging people to go to other sites for pictures.
OnlyFans, yeah.
OnlyFans type of stuff. I mean, that's how that originally started is they weren't expecting to do everything on Twitch. They were using it as a way to fish people out that weren't generally going to go to OnlyFans or find them. And so that's where this has turned. I mean, I think this is kind of the downfall of Twitch, in my opinion. This isn't going to end anywhere well. It's just kind of degrading what the service is about, and it's going to end up being a place that people don't want their kids to go and visit anymore once they wake up to what's on here.
Oh, and that's why I said this is such a tough position for Twitch, because that is exactly the case, and that's exactly what's going to happen. I mean, the program is called like Net Nanny or something like that, where you can block certain websites. And you say, oh well, yeah, of course, children want to watch video game content on Twitch. Well, when you can,
because you don't block Twitch. I mean, I can say to my kids, you're not going to OnlyFans, you're not going to whatever.
Yeah, that would be a realistic
this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
but. Now it's all right, kids, you're not watching Twitch because they don't have parental controls, just like I complain about other applications
they might.
and systems.
I don't know
maybe they do.
Because you do have to click that. You do have to click that button that says whatever that warning
look
was.
at how many stream stuff before they get banned. It's kind of like Roblox. Roblox doesn't have good enough. They will throw stuff up on there. A bunch of kids will play it, and then finally it'll get taken down. I don't want my kids to be exposed to it in the first place, and I don't want to have to be something after the fact. Oh, but we banned them. Well, yeah, but look at what my kid had access to up until that time. Because back in the day, people would stream porn on there and get banned. They would do all kinds of things. But during that time, you still got 12-year-old kids jumping in there and seeing things they shouldn't.
There are I'm scrolling through the just chatting category, which is the second most watched right now on Twitch. There are dozens of individuals streaming just like those 2 other girls we just looked at, completely naked,
and funneling them to, because they did
Presumably,
reverse that policy about streaming on multiple platforms.
They did.
That's what kind of opened this. Yeah, that's what kind of opened up the door to this is because before they could say, well, we're going to ban you because you're encouraging people to go to another service to watch.
Okay, Brian. So you're king for the day. Let me ask you, how do you handle this if you're Twitch? It's a massive source of revenue for the company. Mm-hmm. You've got 13,000 people watching these two girls sit completely naked with black lines along their breastises and genitalia as the or buttocks as the press release read. How do you handle this if you're Twitch? What do you do? Do you just cut the head off and say we're done? No, all this stuff is banned?
Twitch can send me money later, but what I would do is I would create a sub-platform, lounge.twitch.tv, club. Champagne room, whatever it is that you're creating.
Champagne room. Now we're talking. All right.
Yeah. Something that, indicates that this is an adults only area that you need to be on the list for, right? And have a section where you're age verified on your account, so that just creating an account and clicking, oh yeah, I'm 18, doesn't get you to this section. Have something to where there is some sort of a verification system that then your account is flagged as being able to go to this, go to the special area. Do that, and then you can allow all kinds of things back there in the age-gated community. But right now, it's not age-gated. I mean, look at, you can see all those things by not logging in, and you can watch a lot of these streams. Yeah.
Let me see what happens if I go in an incognito.
So go to like a discrete window, private window, whatever.
But okay, so while I'm doing this though, let me throw this at you as a counterpoint, Brian. You can go to all of these. I don't know. I don't pay for any of these subscriptions, but presumably you can go to all of these other websites where this content is available without all of the hurdles, without the age verification, everything else. If you're Twitch, if you make it such a barrier to entry, nobody is going to use it. So I mean that's what you're up against.
But
you can go to other websites and watch porn without.
It's like OnlyFans, right? People have to create a login to get into OnlyFans. They have to do all these things to be able to interact, I assume, with the artists or whatever you want to call them on OnlyFans.
So you're right. I could just click start watching.
Start watching, and then you have full access to. They don't require you to actually log in. So a kid right now, even if his account says he's 13, and they say, "Oh, well, you can't go to this area." All right, well, I'll just log out and I'll go watch it anyways. Like, what are you actually preventing in that situation? That's where they have to turn around and come up with a way to where only people that maybe through driver's licenses, things like that, have done
Nikki
some
Haley.
sort of but some sort of verification system. That's one reason why Elon Musk has done this whole, Twitch badge thing, was to be able to gate some sections of the community to prevent bots from spamming and do a bunch of damage, so that people, if they want to have maybe a vote that isn't skewed, only verified accounts can turn around and vote. Is someone going to make 1 million bots and pay $1 million to be able to skew a poll on Twitter or X? No. But, this creates something to where maybe even there's some sort of a payment to where it says, 18 plus Twitch. And if a parent sees that on their credit card, they're going to be like, why is there 18 plus Twitch charge here?
It's a processing error. So as I'm doing research here on the fly, so these two girls that have 13,320 people watching right now, they in fact are not streaming on any, at least not that I can easily find, that they're streaming on another platform. So that they are streaming seemingly right now exclusively on Twitch. I don't know if they're behind a paywall or something. There's nothing in the description or title to indicate that.
Yeah.
They're completely naked, but they're completely covered up at the same time. And there's 13,000 people watching it, and I'm watching the subscriber goal and the bit count and all of this stuff just skyrocketing right now.
Yep. It sells. That's what I'm saying. Create more of an environment to where that you can even come up with a better payment system that's not bits. Like if you want, because there's women that make millions of dollars on this. Come up with a way, a better subsystem. Challenge OnlyFans if you're going to make a different environment to do it.
Now that would be an idea, yeah.
Create a system that's not based on what the video game, which is supposed to be like pennies from tons of people. People want to have more custom, like feel like that this girl is talking to them, has some sort of a relationship. That seems to be what
this girl's bio is your e-girlfriend. That's literally what the title of her description is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what they're going for. So create something. I mean, if you go to a strip club, that's what those women are trying to make you feel like, that they're interested in you. Like create that environment if that's what you're going for inside of Twitch. But if you're not, then quit allowing all this stuff and make it about video games. Like they want to get really close to the line so they can get a little bit of that money. Oh, but can't go too far. Well, obviously it goes too far. I mean, look at what's on there. It's no longer a safe or a good environment for kids to come and watch people streaming video games.
Okay, but
hold
on.
You need to fix that.
Let me challenge you on this. When was Twitch ever a platform for children?
There were tons of kids going and watching people stream.
Yeah, well, that's fine.
Fortnite.
I mean, kids play rated M video games. I don't know that Twitch has ever advertised itself as a child Roblox is a different story. That is a game that is literally marketed for children. I don't know, Brian, that's fair to say that Twitch is a platform that is for children. Are there kids that use it? Sure, but I don't think. I mean,
think there were a lot of people watching Fortnite streamers that were all underage.
But even outside of the lewd content that we're discussing, Twitch is rampant with profanity, and I mean, that's part of. It's almost the video game culture kind of thing, right? Yelling and screaming obscenities while you're playing a video game. Not that I've ever done that.
And a lot of parents will let that go. They'll say, all right, whatever. Sure. But this goes to a line that I think most parents can't reasonably say, we'll let this go.
No, I don't think you could classify what we just watched.
I mean, if I walk into the room and my oldest son is sitting here watching these ladies stream, the computer will no longer be in his room. Right?
I would say, Brian, that is good educational content. We're teaching about capitalism.
Beware of these women. These are the type of women you need to beware of. That's what we'd be teaching.
It depends on what you're looking for. So that is what's that's what's going on with Twitch. They allowed it, disallowed it, and I mean, I didn't realize what was going on the platform. Great marketing, though. I mean, I'll tell you, if your goal is to try and gain subscribers at your subscription-based OnlyFans, what a great way. Oh, look, there's my cat behind me hanging out. The great way to do it is to stream on Twitch naked with black boxes covering whatever, and then pushing people to a subscription site to see more. I mean, it's a great idea.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, here we go.
USA of Zombie says, I told my wife she needs to play Valheim or Ark wearing a bikini. We could retire early. There you go. It's a valid. I mean, that would be tasteful on Twitch, to say the least, if she was clothed.
I know.
I mean, that would be very tasteful.
Yeah, at least it's not black bars.
Yeah. I got just time for another one quick story.
All right. Well, I wanted to mention something really quick. So Libs of TikTok, because they don't generally talk about video games and some of these tech things, but they did a post showing a video game that's on Steam that allows players to simulate being Hamas terrorists who kill people of a certain ethnicity in the old city of Jerusalem while shouting different things.
Who cares?
This is well, I mean, would they allow that? They wouldn't allow this if, let's say, they were calling for the genocide of people of, the LGBTQIA plus whatever community. They would freak out and immediately have it banned.
I have done a little bit of a 180 on Libs of TikTok in recent weeks. This, Brian, just doesn't bother me. I mean, there are not that the concept is not. I'm not saying that's a good thing or not. Steam is full of games that depict violence. I mean, look at any Call of Duty game. What are you doing? You're going through the Middle East and killing brown people.
Even the old Postal games.
That's all that
people people freaked out about postal back in the day, because I remember when the term came up, became a thing, is when people who worked for the post office for some reason got flipped out and just started killing people. That's why they had, and then someone made a postal game where your goal was just to kill as many people as possible.
Phenomenal game.
I played the game some, and this is a very similar thing. Now, they weren't calling for the genocide of specific races, people of whatever protected classes, religious things.
I get that, but the general theme is still the same. It's the mass execution of individuals. What I find so funny about Libs of TikTok is this is a game that, based on the trailer, looks like it was generated in about 8 minutes worth of game development time. Nobody knew about, nobody was talking about, and nobody had ever seen or heard. And then it was amplified through the Libs of, the Libs of the chick that runs Libs of TikTok with her 2.7 million followers thought it was a great idea to promote the game. And I'm sure its Steam charts have exploded in regards to the purchases and sales of this game now, just because of that. It just seems ridiculous. There are so many ridiculous, stupid games on Steam. I like this probably. I don't understand why they would even promote it, which is what she did. It just seems stupid.
Because I would have never heard of it outside.
No, of course not. Nobody would have.
Now, outside of Libs of TikTok, my argument would be, if you're going to allow this, then allow anything, regardless of, you have it to be where you can fill in the blank on genocide of, not that those are in comments, people are saying that. But let's say your goal is to kill, and then you fill in the blank. Why are you limiting anybody if you're going to allow this on Steam? Not Libs of TikTok, but Steam. If you're going to ban one word, what doesn't matter what that word is when you fill in the blank. Why are you banning one and not the other?
Well, I don't know that they are, and it's pretty funny as I'm scrolling through the comments of this Libs of TikTok tweet. I'm seeing some pretty big conservative names that are saying, go play a game like Call of Duty. You go on a mass rampage shooting civilians at an airport. That's Modern Warfare 2. I played that as probably an 11-year-old. Assassin's Creed Valhalla. A player is a Viking mass murdering Christians. That game is available on Steam and is a popular one. It just seems to be a really weird. Stay in your lane. And in this case, this is. So what are we're going back to the old adage, violence in video games kind of thing. I mean, it just seems stupid. I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I think it's ridiculous. It's just, the same kind of snowflake crap that the Libs of TikTok account was founded on. If you don't like the game, if you think it's tasteless, which it is, then don't freaking buy it.
Yeah.
It's just, it seems ridiculous.
I'm more of I'm a libertarian. So for me, as long as you're not harming somebody, I believe that you should be able to do whatever you want. And this is not actually harming anybody.
No, it is not.
If you were then encouraging people to go do this in real life, that's another thing.
But it's not.
But it's not. I mean, look at how many times you have video games where you're going and killing people, Middle Easterners.
Every Call of Duty game that's ever existed.
Yeah, and so I think that for me, being a libertarian requires you to have thick skin, and this is one of those areas where there's the opposite side of the fence. If one side can do it, the other side can do it. That's why for some things, I don't tend to believe or think that people should think a certain way. But you know what? I think that they should have the right to do it. Yeah. Because if they don't have the right to do it, I don't have the right to do it, and I want to be able to maintain my freedom. And this is right in that area. So,
all right, Brian. We'll keep an eye on all of it. Where can folks find you online?
Well, if you want to find me, you can find me at Boise Computer on X, or you can find me at Brian Aldridge on Gab, Getter, Truth Social, wherever else. You can go to my blog, biteoftech.com, or you can go to our website, infectionpodcast.com. Just make sure you go to the upper right-hand side and join our server on Discord. Maybe you want to go play one of our 11 ARC servers that are currently running. You're more than welcome to do that there. Or if you want to submit a topic that you think we should cover on a future show, just go toss that in the show news channel, and then we'll review that before the live show. Or if you want to just talk politics or hang out, it's a good way to get a hold of us. If you want to watch the live show, you can do that through Twitch or YouTube, or watch the upload after the fact on Rumble. or you can listen to the upload after the fact on any of the lower right-hand side. There's lots of different systems and ways and platforms to listen to us. Pick whatever one's your favorite, and then you can go to our particular episode show notes. And on there, we have a video and audio player built right into that page and links for everything that we discussed during the show. So maybe you want to go do a little more digging for yourself, verify what we said,
some Twitch
watch
content,
a video, go see what Nick's checking out on Twitch. Go check out the show notes, and that'll all be there. Of course, if you want to support us, there's a support menu option up top, or you can go to infectionpodcast.com/support.
Brian, it's called research, and it's something I have to do for my job. So I appreciate you not demeaning me in my profession. Brian, Merry Christmas to you. Merry Christmas to all of our listeners. We are off next week, and we'll be back the first week of January. So hopefully you have a Merry Christmas, enjoy it, and we'll chat with you guys in a couple of weeks. You can check me out on Twitter, X, at Nicholas M. Craig, and as Brian mentioned, of course, visit our website, infectionpodcast.com. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on this program. It's greatly appreciated. Hopefully you have a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and we will chat with you coming up in 2024. That's going to do it. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.